All right, look, I also wanted to talk this morning because I thought it was an interesting story and thought, shall I get them in and interview them on it? No, because it's a story you need to sit back. It's not about anyone saying anything outrageous. It's just an interesting story for us all to contemplate in the context of New Zealand, its place in the world, and woke politics. We've all heard about these special rapporteurs that the UN has. And they're people, basically, they're woke liberals who get a really cushy hundreds of thousands of dollars a year job from the UN, and they go around virtue signalling to various countries. There's a woman called Albanese at the moment who's an absolute shocker on Israel, and she hates Israel defending itself and trying to get the hostages back off Gaza, and she's kicking up Bobsy Dial all over the place. Well, she's one of them, but New Zealand is not immune from these woke takedowns or attempted woke takedowns. And a special rapporteur came out to New Zealand recently, or wrote a letter to New Zealand government recently. His name was Barume. And he wrote to the government in June saying he was concerned about the regulatory standards bill. Now, I have no idea how the special rapporteur from the United Nations was alerted to the regulatory standards bill of the ACT Party in the New Zealand Parliament. But I'll probably by his lefty mates in New Zealand, in the Labour Party and the Green Party. Okay, let's be honest, that's probably what happened. So this dude from the United Nations on hundreds of thousands of dollars a year writes a virtue signalling letter to our government, which no doubt he leaked and told his mates in New Zealand domestic politics on the left of politics here. He told them he was sending this letter designed to embarrass the government. It says the regulatory standards bill is terrible. It breaches all sorts of things because it doesn't mention Maori wonderfulness or the Treaty of Waitangi, and it fails to uphold the rights of Indigenous people. So this letter lands on the government's desk, no doubt then leaked by the special rapporteur to his mates on the left, who leak it to their mates in the lefty New Zealand journalism, and it's a takedown of the current government, purely political, from the United Nations, a supposedly non-political international body. And David Seymour decides he'll write a letter back saying, stick your letter where the sun don't shine, which I think is an entirely appropriate response. And David Seymour, I guess, as the leader of the party that introduced the regulatory standards bill, thought that was in his remit, and it was the right thing to do. Yesterday, the story emerges that the letter that Seymour sent had been withdrawn after he got a talking to from Chris Luxon. And the headline suggested, or made the suggestion, that Chris Luxon, who is pretty woke himself, told Seymour that he shouldn't have written, as the acting Prime Minister or whatever, the letter telling the special rapporteur to get lost. But actually that was misreporting, surprise, surprise, by the left-wing media. What happened was that Chris Luxon actually agrees with the tenor of David Seymour's letter. He also thinks the UN should stick it where the sun don't shine. But he says the right way to do this is our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Winston Peters, should write the letter. So in fact what we have, and could I just say it's kind of heartwarming, on a contentious issue involving the Treaty of Waitangi and international relations, we actually have the three party leaders of this coalition government entirely in concert. And what they're saying to special rapporteurs, their lefty political mates in New Zealand, and the lefty journalists who publicise their silly letters, and the people at the United Nations, they're saying, get lost. We are a sovereign, democratic nation. You don't get to go around wagging your finger at us and virtue signalling to us. We're going to talk about this case a little bit later with one of our guests. But totally misreported in the first instance. They're trying to rebalance a little bit now in the newspapers and in the columns. But I say well done. I say well done, David Seymour, for writing the letter in the first place. I say, well done, Chris Luxon. Well, he kind of messed it up. You should have come out with a strategy and known that the media were going to say, not that well done, actually, face it. Not going to call him that. No, Chris Luxon. And well done, Winston Peters, who's kind of doubling down on what Seymour said. And these special rapporteurs, this guy's Albert, US Special Rapporteur on the Rights of Indigenous People, Albert Barumi. Get lost. Why don't you go and sort out the problem of United Nations funding terrorist organisations, right? Through UNRWA in the Gaza Strip. Right? Why don't you go and sort out why UN peacekeepers in the Golan Heights don't do anything? They basically sit on their asses while a war rages around them. There are a lot of much more useful things you could do than joining a clearly partisan political fight in New Zealand over the Regulatory Standards Bill. And boy, the left are not going to let go of that. They don't hate the Regulatory Standards Bill. Most of them don't even understand it, but it's right-wing bad. Right-wing bad. So I'm just saying in this instance, how heartening we see the coalition operating as it was meant to, standing as one.